Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And I know you guys saw the title of the video. That's exactly what we're going to be discussing today. Did we just witness the end of Alexander Volkanovski's incredible title run, an incredible career? A lot of these fighters, especially at the higher, the higher ages, the lower weight classes, especially, they get KO'd once and they're never the same. There's a lot of fighters. You look at Tony Ferguson. He even looked good. He looked very good in the first round of the Michael Chandler fight. Of course, he got taken down, but he was landing solid ground and pound off of his back, solid ground and pound elbows, similar to what you see from a guy like Yair Rodriguez. But there's a lot of these fighters, they get KO'd one time, their chin never recovers. Sometimes it isn't even a knockout loss. Sometimes fighters just lose a decision, or they try their hardest, they put everything into a fight and still lose, like Dominic Reyes, and they're never the same. Their chin goes, everything goes after that. You know what I mean? Their will to continue in this type of career goes. And the topic of today's video is a fighter in Alexander Volkanovski who just got brutally KO'd at UFC 294 by Islam Makhachev. And the kind of topic of discussion right now is that the end of Alexander Volkanovski's career? You see a lot of these fighters recently, we've been able to pinpoint this. Something that's going to be very interesting is looking into these fighters' careers and looking at their career trajectory after certain events, after recent events. You look at a guy like Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier just got brutally knocked out by Justin Gaethje via head kick in the lightweight division at UFC 291, Salt Lake City, Utah. Same place that Kamaru Usman got knocked out by Leon Edwards via head kick. You know what I mean? Same exact type of technique, the same, right hand, right straight, whatever. From a southpaw, it would have been a left straight, but, same, throwing out the backhand, and then typical boxing defense, slipping to the outside of the punch, getting caught with the head kick. That's exactly what, Justin Gaethje did to Dustin Poirier. That's exactly what Leon Edwards did to Kamaru Usman. But, you know what I mean? We've been talking about this. I've been talking about this with a lot of my friends. Is that the end of Dustin Poirier's career? And not the end in the sense that he's never going to fight again or that he's never going to win again, but can we pinpoint that as the moment where, like, okay, here was the start of the decline for Dustin Poirier? Was this the start? Can we look back in 3 years and say, was that head kick loss to Justin Gaethje the end of his prime? You know what I mean? And that's a situation, that's a kind of similar topic, similar talking point that I've been seeing going around a lot against the guy in Alexander Volkanovski. So Alexander Volkanovski goes out there on, essentially 11 days notice, up a weight class, no real time to bulk up, all these different excuses you can make. But at the end of the day, none of those excuses, none of those things really played any effect. The only thing you can really pinpoint is the weight cut. But at the end of the day, he's a featherweight, so it's not really like he was cutting as much weight. I know he's talking about this weight was this and his weight was that. At the end of the day, that's his typical walk-around weight. It's not like he was crazy overweight. It's not going to be as severe of a cut as it would have been to go down to 145, as it would have been down to go down to 155 for a guy like Alexander Volkanovski, seeing as he's a career featherweight. But it's a situation where there was some asterisk going into this fight. There's always going to be an asterisk going into a fight that's short notice. But considering that it's short notice, Volk's a career featherweight, all these different things, people are going to try to discredit Islam Makhachev's win. But there's a lot of things you can point to say, well, this head kick might have caused Volkanovski to take more damage than usual. At the end of the day, point blank period, Volkanovski would have gotten knocked out if he was fully hydrated, fully sized up, full training camp. If this head kick landed on him, he would have gone out cold. And now people say, okay, well, maybe the head kick wouldn't have landed if he had full camp. Maybe his reaction time would have been better. At the end of the day, Islam Makhachev exposed a serious defensive flaw in Alexander Volkanovski's game. And that's a flaw that a lot of people have been talking about for a long time. You look at the Weasel, you look at a lot of other guys, and this is a big topic going into the Yair Rodriguez fight. Alexander Volkanovski's defense to head kicks. He did a very good job of switching stances every time Yair tried to switch stances. Something that you'll see, the same way that Volk got KO'd here, the same way that, Justin Gaethje KO'd Dustin Poirier, the same way that Charles Oliveira landed that head kick on Beneil Dariush, the same way that Leon Edwards KO'd Kamaru Usman, the way this head kick lands, it's always when fighters are on opposite stances. So the way that Volkanovski addressed this going into the Yair Rodriguez fight was every time Yair tried to switch stance to get into an opposite stance, lining up the power hand and power leg, every single time Volk switched stances to get in the exact same stance, so that it was harder for Yair Rodriguez to land those power kicks on him. Yair Rodriguez, best case scenario, wants to be in the southpaw stance while Volkanovski is in the orthodox stance so he can line up his power left kick. He has one of the nastiest left legs in the entire game I've ever seen, ever, period. And he lands just devastating kicks with it. So every time he tried to switch to southpaw, Volk would switch to southpaw. Suddenly, Yair, you watch this. Go rewatch the fight. Go watch them. They're constantly switching stances back and forth. It's incredible to watch. And this is something that Volk did purely to evade the kicks of a guy like Yair Rodriguez. And this is something he did not do in the Islam Makhachev fight at UFC 294. Volkanovski, for some reason, stayed in the orthodox stance, while Islam Makhachev was in the southpaw stance, even though Volk has shown a tendency to switch stances to match Islam Makhachev even in their first fight. Now, the majority of the time he was in the orthodox stance. That's his typical stance. Even though he can fight out of both stances very well, he fights very, very well out of both stances, he did not switch stances here. And if he would have switched stances, we could have been in an entirely different situation, because something he likes to do is he'll just kind of put this hand up and turn his head away as if he's like saying no thank you to someone. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird, but it's something that he does. And although it's weird, it's not by the book. It's not textbook how you're supposed to block a head kick. You're supposed to get both hands up. You're supposed to parry with this hand and create a barrier with your other hand. That's not what he does. And he's never really paid for it severely. He was dropped by Max Holloway with the one head kick, but he's never really severely paid for this kind of lack of the hole in his defense for this. And he finally paid for it when he fought Islam Makhachev last Saturday. And what happened is Islam Makhachev backs him up. Volk looked very hesitant. He was talking about, I'm going to find the kill shot. I'm going to go after him. I'm going to really put my hands on him in this fight. He looked more timid than I've ever seen him, and that's probably because Islam Makhachev was bigger than ever, he was stronger than ever, and Islam Makhachev was putting the pace on him. He was the one pressing Volk backwards. He started kind of slow, but when Volk didn't return, when Volk didn't show the heat, when Volk didn't throw back like we usually see him do, Islam Makhachev goes, okay, I'm going to press you then. Starts pressuring him with body kicks, teeps to the body, leg kicks, eventually goes up high. Volk's expecting it down low. He puts this hand up and tries to parry here. Head kick bounces off the arm and hits the top of the head. And, this is just something, you cannot let this happen. You have to have your entire hand. You cannot have the arm down here. The arm's got to be up here. You got to be parrying with the other hand. And that's the only way you're going to evade a head kick like that. And it's simply just a hole in Alexander Volkanovski's game that was, severely exposed. But is Alexander Volkanovski's career over? This is something that I keep hearing. The brutal head kick gets, brutally finished to the ground, pause. Islam Makhachev just goes out there, pounds him out, really just pounds him out, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Volkanovski took a ton of damage in this fight, literally took a career-altering level of damage in this fight, you know what I mean? Brutally knocked out in the first round, terrible look. And now he's going back to featherweight, and there's something that I got to discuss, because a lot of people are going to point to a guy like Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira was able to get knocked out by Israel Adesanya, knocked out cold, brutally, one of the nastiest knockouts of the year, easily. And he was able to come back just like 4 months later, and he fought, Jan Blachowicz. Chin looked phenomenal in that fight. He still took some pretty hard shots because Alex Pereira has some serious defensive flaws in his game. But at the end of the day, it's not like he was getting rocked. He was just eating bad shots. He was eating really hard shots from Jan Blachowicz. And his chin looked great, though. His chin looked rejuvenated. The difference is Alex Pereira moved up a weight class 4 months later. If Volkanovski tries to fight Ilia Topuria, early on the Canada card, UFC 297, which everyone's talking about, he would have 2.5 months, not 4 months, 2.5 months to not go up a weight class, but to go down a weight class. So his chin was not able to handle those kind of shots, pause. At lightweight, it's not going to be able to handle those kind of shots at featherweight. And Alexander Volkanovski is also 35 years old. He's going to be turning 36 soon. He's getting up there in age. He's going down a weight class, and it's just the law of odds. Every champion has their time, and every champion is going to lose some point. Alexander Volkanovski, of course, lost at UFC 294, but that might have been the moment that I keep talking about, that moment where the roller coaster finally goes over the hill and starts going downhill from there. We may see Alexander Volkanovski get TKO'd by Ilia Topuria. And honestly, as crazy as it sounds, if Alexander Volkanovski ends up getting confirmed to fight Ilia Topuria, UFC 297, anytime within the next 3 months, guys, I got to go Ilia Topuria. I think Ilia Topuria is going to find the chin. Even if Alexander Volkanovski comes out and he looks phenomenal, even if he doesn't look timid kind of like Tony Ferguson did after he got knocked out by Michael Chandler, even if it's not like that, Alexander Volkanovski, the chin is just not going to be there. He's never known for having a great chin. He's always known for kind of being a guy that, even though he has phenomenal recovery because he's got such a championship mentality, his chin has always been not necessarily chinny, but it's not terribly difficult to drop him. I mean, how many guys has a guy like Max Holloway been able to drop with a single punch or a single kick? And he dropped Volk twice in one fight. You know what I mean? Chad Mendes literally almost put Volkanovski out cold in their fight. and Islam Makhachev finally seals the deal. Islam Makhachev dropped him easily in the first round of their fight. You know what I mean? In their first fight, he drops him and then goes and finishes him in the first round of their second fight. So at the end of the day, Alexander Volkanovski's never really had a great chin. Now he gets knocked out at lightweight at 55 years old. Of course, it was short notice, but that's not going to change the amount of damage he took. Now he's going down a weight class to featherweight to fight someone who's a power puncher. And honestly, I can see a situation where Alexander Volkanovski goes out there, pieces Ilia Topuria up, outboxes him, works him in the clinch, and then just gets caught with a shot maybe once a round and loses the fight via decision. Maybe he gets caught 3 times throughout the entire fight, and those 3 moments are able to win Ilia Topuria those rounds. I can see a situation where Volk goes out there and gets knocked out in the first round. You know what I mean? And with that kind of loss, with that amount of damage, I mean, go rewatch the knockout and just look at Volk as he's getting ground and pounded. His eyes are rolling into the back of his head. His head is bouncing against the canvas. It was honestly borderline disturbing to watch. And he took a literally career-altering level of damage in this fight that cannot be overlooked, especially against a young, hungry killer like Ilia Topuria, who's supposedly been training to beat him for his entire career. He's been watching out for Alexander Volkanovski for his entire career. This is not something you want to play around with. I understand Alexander Volkanovski been talking about his mental state, how he's been doing his head in if he's not fighting, and he just had to get this fight because he was just so worked up. I honestly think Alexander Volkanovski may have very well ended his career at UFC 294. He may have very well literally shot himself in the foot at UFC 294 by taking this fight. He easily could have fought Ilia Topuria, beat him, and had a very good case to move up again and fight Islam Makhachev in a highly anticipated rematch. And maybe we live in a different universe where Charles Oliveira doesn't pull out or someone else steps in. Maybe Justin Gaethje steps in. Maybe that fight's rescheduled. And then Alexander Volkanovski, 2024, goes up and fights Islam Makhachev for the second time. We're never going to see that fight again. You know, Islam Makhachev's up 2-0. He won the first fight easily. You know, people are going to say, oh, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. He lost the last round. He won 4 rounds to 1. Goes out there, brutally knocks him out in the first round of the second fight. Easily, and there's of course asterisks, but the fight's not going to happen again. It doesn't matter if you think Volk won or whatever, the fight's never going to happen again. They're never going to fight again. Volk's never going to get the opportunity to be a double champ ever again. There's no situation where that's going to happen. And he's going to end his career in the featherweight division, or he's going to have to come up to lightweight and fight a contender to earn another title shot. And I don't see Volk being able to do that. Volkanovski is 35 years old. He's going to be fighting Ilia Topuria. Maybe that fight, hopefully, I think he should sit out for 6 months. He comes back, he fights Ilia Topuria. But at the end of the day, it's going to be 6 months later. That's 6 months. I mean, he's 35 years old. He's not 31 anymore. He's not 32 anymore. He doesn't have 6 months to throw away. He's literally 35 years old. And throwing away 6 months like that, of course, it's not, I mean, easily that 6 months could probably allow him to retain his title. If he doesn't take that time off, he could very well get KO'd easily. His chin never recovered from the Islam Makhachev fight, and then his career's over. But at the end of the day, it's 6 months. I mean, it's 6 months at the age of 35 in a sport that is unforgiving. You look at a guy like Henry Cejudo trying to come back. You look at all these different guys trying to come back at 35, 36 years old. It never goes well. It's different. The fight game is relentless. And for a guy like Alexander Volkanovski, who has never really had a phenomenal chin, going up there against guys like Ilia Topuria, trying to move up against a guy like Oliveira, Makhachev, or Gaethje, guys that can legitimately put him out with one shot. And Makhachev just proved that. I don't like Volk's chances. I think best case scenario, he should basically tell Ilia Topuria to sit in the closet, maybe get Ilia to fight Max, but I don't think that fight's ever going to be made for very good reason. And then I think Volkanovski should take his 6 months off. You know, not the 2.5 months till UFC 297. He should take his 6 months off, let his chin fully recover, at least 6 months, hopefully 7 or 8 months, which is still a very long time at 35 years old. Then he should fight Ilia Topuria, and he should retire, unless he wants to fight like Aljamain Sterling or something in his final title fight. Other than that, I mean, Volk, not really much else to prove. He's never going to get the lightweight belt. He doesn't really have that many fights left. Who else is he going to fight in the featherweight division? He's not going up to lightweight again. He's talked about it, but really, there's no way. I mean, unless he would have to keep his featherweight belt and then go up and fight as a contender in the lightweight division, fighting other contenders, not for the belt. He would need to beat a Justin Gaethje, beat a Dustin Poirier, earn himself a title shot. That situation's not going to happen. Dana White is not going to let that happen unless Volk vacates his title, and Volk's not going to do that. So I just see a situation where Volk fights maybe 1 or 2 more times and then calls it quits. Of course, I could be wrong. We could see Volk fight 7 more times. He's the kind of guy that's going to say, no, I got one more in me. He's got the Tony Ferguson mindset. I got one more in me. And he's going to get knocked out 6 times. He's going to try to match his win streak with his loss streak. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I'm very scared for Volkanovski. I really hope this doesn't end up being the route that he goes down. But like I said, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss another upload. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.